I'm Danny Ramirez, and I play Ash. And when you first see me in the movie, I am sleeping. And through the film, you'll see that Ash is a very layered person that has a lot of his past that creeps into every single action he does. And throughout it, you'll see the lengths that he's willing to go to accomplish what he set out to accomplish early on, and the cognitive dissonance that turns into full blown chaos at the end is really to really energized with his desperation to really succeed and to get ahead in life and to kind of take himself out from under the shadow of this pressure that is continuously on him. What appealed to me the most about the project that got me really excited to do the movie was after I read it, I realized how the dynamics of all the characters really don't live in an isolated fashion, but they're all interlinked. And being able to play in a single setting with that in mind made it really exciting to know that everything that I had to throw down had was going to have different opposing forces trying to get their own objective through that same kind of like obstacle course, if you will. And everyone's like goals did become different barriers for the others, and there's no scenario in which everyone got what they wanted, and that was really exciting because it really turned the pressure up. And a character like Ash was someone that was just a dream to play, and then speaking with Damien, he had a lot of he was as excited for the character Ash as I was, and cared as much about him, and tried to find a really interesting way into what normally would be a two-dimensional character and really flesh him out, give him life, and give him some form of love. And that's what got me really excited. But working with David, so much of what he said right now is got me really emotional, so it's stopping my reply. But it was after we did have that conversation in quarantine for the 4 to 5 hours, I felt, and I keep bringing this up based on how intense the project got, was that I had an ally, and that I made a true friend, and someone that understood me and cared about me and made the relationship that we have in this movie be one of the strongest influencers of my entire performance, which was, it was amazing to have someone that through, I think there's just so much of how David operates in the room, whether he's acting or not, that creates such a really beautiful space to collaborate in. And there are so many times that like his words really were the fulcrum point of how a scene went for me. And I think that's like even in moments that he wasn't even filming, like a day that he would just be kind of watching what was happening, there was so much support in that. And then so by the time that when we had to throw down in the movie without spoiling anything, by the time it got to that point, there was just so much trust in that. And it was wonderful every time to come in and play. And it's just based on the security that I did feel from the very early days to the days we weren't even acting together in the same scenes, to when we ended up acting in the same scenes. There was so much trust, because there's even days that we were offset and we'd have similar viewpoints on the craft and on story. And that was just, it was so wonderful to know that you had somebody that was an ally from the very get-go of first and foremost who you are as a person and who you are as a performer. Everyone was like that on the set, but I think it definitely did help me out throughout the entire film. So, David, you see this? Thank you. He's right there. Amazing. I think Dennis said something really early on that also kind of set the tone in how amazing this experience was. And Havana leading us in the way she led us really also set the tone for the rest of the movie, and in how a lot of the times I think you'd stumble onto an ego or not, but she just like from the very beginning, since we're seeing the world through Darby's eyes, really established a lot of the really good traits of everyone's like collaboration in this movie. And so by the time that like it started going down to the wire, there was already this massive trust fall net amongst everyone. And there, everyone just genuinely fully cared. Like just know, like that's one of the harder things to some people are in the craft that you see that are doing it for a plethora of reasons, but everyone at that table, every discussion that was ever had came from the seed of caring so much for the same story, which is the one of the most refreshing things. Mm-hmm. I'm eternally grateful for Damien for so many reasons within the production of the movie that I think Ash as a character that I had to take on, there was moments that I absolutely needed his guidance and needed him to, and as he did, he shepherded me through moments in the beginning where I was like, I felt like I was in over my head. Damien as a person is also incredibly caring and has so much empathy for what everyone's going through that in a very father figurely way was able to guide me through so much of the initial, like the 2 weeks of quarantine before going into it really set the tone of what Ash was, and seeing someone that understood Ash as well and had a lot of care for the character and myself and was, and like, I think he really brought the most out of my performance in how he held me through what normally would be someone that is not normally held in that way. So I really appreciated that, his care for Ash and myself in that. And as twisted as the movie gets, this man, he's got a heart of gold, and I think everyone's performance in it was made so much better because of it. So I'm eternally grateful for Damien and really navigating chaotic seas with us. Yeah, I could second that. I asked in an interview I did for citizenship to the Prime Minister. She's but no, I absolutely loved it. I think it was it's one of those beautiful places I think I've ever been in my life. Probably almost easily up there in the top two. I think Colombia, Mexico, and obviously the US, I have to say all four are beautiful. But New Zealand, without COVID, it was just, I didn't realize how much of a blessing it was, or I realized the blessing it was in the moment, but then even more so shooting other projects with the restrictions. And I think so much of being in the country that didn't have a single case, and the crew also being as warm as they were, created the perfect soil for the film that we did to really thrive on. And I mean, there's so many events in New Zealand that, like, every time that we would go back, like, there'd just be a different, like there was a South American festival one time. And then just there's so much life that was just beautiful to see after not seeing someone for like a year and a half. But yeah, I'm eternally grateful for New Zealand. Love it. Kia ora. And it's just one of the happiest places I've ever been in.